Hello everyone, this is Michael Delehanty at J. Rockcliffe Realtors again. So today I was thinking about something that is asked of me frequently, and the question is, if you're a buyer, should you go directly to the listing agent or should you maintain a relationship with a strong buyer's agent? And like everything in real estate, unfortunately, there's no easy answer. There's a lot of, well, maybe is really the ultimate answer to that one. So let me tell you why. So for an investor, for example, start with them. If you're an investor and you've done a lot of business and you're buying and selling houses frequently, and you have access to an MLS feed of some sort, then it might make sense to just simply go to the listing agent with the idea that a lot of times an investor, and I've certainly had this happen, will approach me and say, if you represent me in the purchase and I remodel the property, I'll use you again in order to sell it at a later date. That can be very enticing to an agent because it's ultimately a double commission. But if you're an investor and you make that offer to a listing agent that's not that great, well, then on the backside, when you're trying to sell it, you could certainly end up with a disservice to yourself if that agent is not able to perform adequately. And so ultimately, that's a bit of a risk. If you have a really great agent in your corner and you're an investor, well, maybe it makes more sense to actually just use that particular person to try to buy your investment and properties and then use that same person again later to turn around and sell it because they're reliable. And the more business you do with them, then maybe the more committed that particular agent is going to be. And so ultimately, it may make more sense if you're an investor to use a buyer's agent. But obviously, there are times when it would work for an investor to just go directly to the listing agent themselves. Unfortunately, in almost every case, the truism in real estate is nobody wants to overpay for a property except the highest bid wins most of the time. And so ultimately, in order to get the property, if you're worried about overpaying, in essence, you need to pay more than everybody else in order to get that house. And so consequently, with going to a listing agent with the idea of, hey, we're going to try to, I actually hate to say steal, but you're trying to get a great deal by going direct, doesn't always work. And it certainly has not worked when investors have tried to do that for me. Now, on the other side, if you're a homeowner and you're thinking, well, I want to make sure that I get that property, I'm going to go to the listing agent. Remember, you still need to be the high bidder. And I've had plenty of buyers approach me when I'm the listing agent, but then not be willing to bid high enough for the property. And even though I'm representing them, they ultimately don't get the house. So remember that if you're a buyer and you're going to the listing agent, there's no guarantee you're going to get the property. So then you have to ask yourself, does that make sense? If you go to the listing agent, you develop a relationship, and then you don't get the house, well, then you're back to square one. You got to go meet somebody new. On the other hand, if you have a buyer's agent that is really great and is working for you diligently every day to try to find you a house, well, then it really makes more sense to stay with that person. And that it makes sense to do that if you're in a very hot market or a medium market or a terrible market. It really makes sense to stay with that same agent because they're going to be more committed to you. And I think you're going to ultimately have better success than trying to go to the listing agent. Yes, it's true. You might get that house if you go to the listing agent, but oftentimes it is not. And then when you don't get that property, you're stuck saying, well, now what do I do? How do I find a house? And right now, as we all know, the market's very hot, and you have to stay ahead of all the other buyers. And if you're backpedaling constantly, well, then you're always behind, and you're never going to get that great property. But a good buyer's agent is going to know about it instantly within the minute it comes on the market, and you're going to be able to get that one. So anyway, that's just a thought. Again, my name is Michael, and I'm at J. Rockcliffe Realtors. I'd love to talk to you, whether you're selling or whether you're buying or whatever you have going, even for consultation. I'd love to talk to you.